Hi, everybody, and welcome to the conference room at my office. This is Andy Chen, and I'm coming to you from Mountain View, California on what turns out to be a very rainy Saturday afternoon, rather surprisingly rainy Saturday. This video goes over the online ledger system that I use with clients. So without further ado, if you guys can hop online with me, I'll show you the details of this system and the benefits that it can give you.
So the first thing you want to do in order to use this online ledger system is open up a web browser. So on my computer, I use Google Chrome. So click on the icon and Chrome opens right up. When I normally go online, I go to Gmail first. So that's the screen that you see here. But for today, what I want to go to is another Google site. So go up here, type in google.com/drive, D-R-I-V-E, and it brings up a very similar screen. Over here you have a field where you can type in your username, your password, and then click sign in. So before we do that, though, let me give you a little background about why this online ledger system came to be. If you hire a professional person, be it a lawyer, an accountant, a contractor to do work on your house, something like that, you get bills periodically, so once every 2 weeks, once a month, something like that. In that case, it's actually fairly inconvenient for me as a service provider because every 2 weeks or every month I have to essentially stop what I'm doing and spend a lot of time tracking down bills, mailing stuff out, sending out emails, tracking which clients have paid, which clients haven't, running to the bank to cash checks and stuff. So that's not real convenient for me. From the client's perspective, it's actually fairly poor also because if you bill every 2 weeks, for example, the client knows what's happening, but they only know it 2 weeks at a time. So at the beginning of the 2 weeks, they know. At the end of the 2 weeks, they know. But during the middle of those 2 weeks, they really have no idea how much money their case is costing, how much work you're doing, and so on. So hopefully with this online ledger system, I managed to solve both of those problems. And the model that I was using is actually banking. So if you have an account at, say, Citibank, Chase Bank, your local credit union, whatever it happens to be, you can essentially log on to that credit union's website, that bank's website, 24 hours a day and see how much money is in your account, what checks you've written, whether or not those checks have cleared, if you have a credit card, how much money you owe. So that type of instantaneous information is what I'm hoping to accomplish with this online ledger system. So that said, the first thing you want to do when you get to the Google Drive homepage is actually log in. So for the purposes of this video, I created an ID called Andy Chen, the lawyer. So if you have Gmail, for example, and your Gmail username is chickenfarmer123@gmail.com, you would type in chickenfarmer123 and then whatever password you normally use to log on to Gmail. So in my case, again, Andy Chen, the lawyer, and type in the password, click sign in, and it pops up, Google Chrome pops up this message at the top, use this account to sync all your Chrome stuff. That's not really relevant for what we're doing, so we'll get rid of that. This down here is the Google Drive kind of home page. And depending on whether or not you've used Google Drive before, this page might look a little bit different. It might look the same. Doesn't really matter. What does matter are these buttons over here on the left. And this first one is called My Drive, and that essentially brings you to this home page right here. And the second one below that is called Shared with Me, and that's the one that you're interested in. So go ahead and click on that. And it lists a bunch of the files that other users have shared with you. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Google Drive, it's essentially a cloud-based drive. So it's a drive on the internet that allows you to upload files to. So if you have a bunch of Word documents, Excel files, PDF files that you want to have accessible wherever you are, go ahead and upload them to something like Google Drive, and you can access them from pretty much any internet-connected computer. You can also access them from a cell phone, a tablet, basically anything that has the Google Drive function built into it. So anyway, so in this case, though, I have for the purposes of this video, I just have this one file that I've shared with this particular user. So the name of the file is called Online Ledger Template, but if you were an actual client, I would rename this file to include your name. So for example, if your name's John Smith, this would be John Smith Cost Ledger. Or if your name's Tom Jones, Tom Jones Cost Ledger, and so on. So to actually look at the file, what you want to do is click on it, and if you do, it opens up in another tab For those of you who have ever used Microsoft Excel, this interface should look very, very familiar to you. Up at the top here is a bunch of what I'd call, I guess, bookkeeping information, kind of administrative stuff. So here, your name's going to be right here. So if your name's John Smith, I type in your name, John Smith, as the client. And over here would be a description of the type of case you have. So if it's a personal injury case, that's what I'd put there. Divorce, child custody, wills and trusts, whatever it happens to be, that's what would go in this field right here. And then if your case is one where I need to go to court, the court case number would go right there, and then right below that would be the address of the courthouse where the case is at. So over here on the right would be the trust account number. Trust accounting is a little bit more in-depth than I can go into in this video, but the basic idea is this. The money that you pay me as a client, the initial retainer that you pay me, that doesn't actually belong to me, so I can't keep it in the same account as all my other money. So I actually have a separate account for that. It's called the trust account, and the account number for that trust account actually would go right here. And then right beneath that would be the name and address of the bank where the trust account is actually at. So aside from all this not so interesting kind of administrative stuff, is this stuff down here, and this is probably what most clients are going to be really interested in. So reading across, it's date, credit, debit, description, hours, hourly rate, and balance. So let's say, for example, that at the end of 2012, you hire me to represent you in a personal injury case. So on January the 1st, 2013, you give me a check for $5,000. And that $5,000 is used as an initial retainer deposit. So under description, that's what I would write, initial retainer deposit. And $5,000 credit, if you carry that over, that means in your account now I have $5,000 worth of money. So let's say on January the 2nd, 2013, you and I have a meeting regarding your case. That meeting lasts 1 hour, and my normal billing rate for an hour is $180. So $180 an hour for 1 hour represents a debit of $180. So 5,000 minus 180 gives you 4,820. So of the original 5,000, 4,820 remains. 180 has already been spent on the meeting that we had on January 2nd. So continuing the example, on January the 5th, let's say you had me go to court for you for a conference. So over here under description, I would type in going to court for case management conference. My normal billing rate for that is $200. Like whenever I go to court, it's $200 an hour. So $200 per hour for 1 hour represents another debit, except this time it's $200. So 4,820 minus 200 gives you 4,620. So that's what remains of the original 5,000. Now, if you continue this example on, you have another debit here, another debit here, 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 and so on. So you can see that this 5,000 will eventually trend down to 0, down to 100, whatever it happens to be. If the case lasts beyond the 5,000, the client, John Smith, will need to put in some more money later on. If the case doesn't last beyond the 5,000, at the end of the case, whatever money happens to be left, let's say it's $1,200, that $1,200 I would need to return to John Smith. One other benefit that clients have told me about that is really helpful is this description field. I update this ledger system once a day, once every 2 days, something like that. So this description here actually will allow the client to see what's going on in their case. So for example, if I have a meeting, if I do research, if I write a letter, if I have a phone call, something like that, the client can actually see, basically track their case in not quite real time, but pretty much real time. So aside from actually tracking how much their case is costing, they can also track the actual task-based progress of the case. So that's essentially the online ledger system, and if you have a system, or if you have a spreadsheet like this that I've shared with you, you'll be able to look at it, but you won't be able to edit it. So if you have any problems with the spreadsheet that I've shared with you, if you notice a mistake, an accounting error, something like that, go ahead and give me a call, or shoot me an email, or basically get in touch with me, and you and I can work it out together real quick. It's usually something pretty simple that maybe I typed in, maybe I transposed a number or something. So Yeah.
Well, there you
Thanks.
go. I hope that video was helpful. And if you have any questions or you want to give me a call, go ahead and do that, or shoot me an email. Visit me online, andychenlaw.com, and I'll talk to you later.